Hi, my name is Meredith Duling, and welcome to the Native American Music Podcast. This podcast is based on Standard Number 9 of the National Standards for Music Education, which is Understanding Music in Relation to History and Culture. Today, we will learn about Native American music and create a rattle similar to one once used by Native Americans. First, let's talk a little about some of the Native American tribes in the Kansas area. Many Native American tribes were located right here in the Great Plains region of the United States. This region included the area between the Mississippi River and the Rocky Mountains, and also the area between Texas and south-central Canada. Some of these tribes included the Arapaho, Blackfoot, Cheyenne, Comanche, Crow, Kiowa, Lakota, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Omaha, Osage, Quapaw, and Wichita. Now that you know who these tribes were, let's talk about how Native Americans and music interacted. Most of the music of these Native American tribes was directly connected with their religion, which included activities such as worship, rituals, and dances. Because music was used so extensively during some of the most important tribal events, it became a common bond of the people. According to Native Americans, music came from the spirits or gods, and because music was believed to have come from these higher powers, it was thought that music gave a person supernatural abilities. Consequently, people with especially good musical performing skills were highly admired and revered. For the most part, the musical experts of the past were men, but today, more Native American women have become involved in the art. As you can see, Native Americans used music in many of the same ways we use it today. Present-day Americans also worship using music, and almost every important event in the U.S., or anywhere in the world for that matter, is accompanied by some kind of music. Just like the Native Americans from the past, music is a very important part of our society. While all Native Americans sang and played music, two major styles originated in the Great Plains region: the Northern style and the Southern style. These styles came into play during the 1800s when the Native Americans were forced to move to reservations or Indian territories. At this point, many of the Indian tribes became isolated, and because of this, their styles of music evolved differently. For instance, in the North, Native American music was sung or played in a higher key, and in the South, sung or played in a lower key. Now that we've learned some basic background information about Native Americans and their music, let's talk about one specific instrument that many Native Americans of the Great Plains region used. Native Americans used many musical instruments, and one of these instruments was called the rattle. I'm sure you've heard of a rattle before, and if you have a baby brother or sister, you might have seen them shaking one. A rattle can be classified as any instrument that makes noise produced by shaking it. Native American rattles were based on this idea. However, rattles made by Native Americans were much more sophisticated. In their culture, the construction of a rattle was an art. The kind of rattle that we will be creating today is called a suspension rattle, which is a rattle that has various items strung on a string. These items are what make the rattling sound. Some of the noise-making items that Native Americans used in their suspension rattles were deer hooves, rattlesnake rattles, bird beaks, bones, animal claws, and animal shells. Now that you understand what a Native American rattle was like, Let's build one of our own. We'll need to gather several items to create our rattle. First of all, you'll need to find a Y-shaped stick or tree branch. You'll also need some scissors, some feathers for decoration. These can be real or store-bought. You'll need some yarn. You may want to choose several different colors. You'll need some beads. And finally, you'll need to find some items that are going to make a rattling noise. I've chosen several things that I found around the house, and I already have mine strung on a string. I found some beads, some rocks with holes in them, and a seashell that had a hole in it. To begin making the rattle, we'll take the Y-shaped stick and tie the yarn around the base of it. Then you'll start wrapping the yarn around the stick so that it covers the stick. Now, as you're wrapping, if you decide you want to change colors of yarn, you can just tie this piece in a knot and start a new one, just like you started the first piece. If you want to add decoration, such as a feather, just lay the feather next to your stick and wrap the yarn around it so that it holds the feather on. Now you'll continue doing this all the way up the stick on both sides, and then tie your yarn off, adding as many feathers or other decorations that you want. Now I've already finished wrapping my stick. I used several different colors of yarn and added feathers. And finally, we need to add the rattles. So I've already strung my items on a string, and all I'm going to do is tie the string to both sides of my rattle. And now all that's left to do is cut your yarn off your rattle, and it's finished. Although you might not use this rattle for a Native American religious dance, you can use it at your own special events, such as a birthday party or sleepover. Today we've learned about Native Americans and their music and created our own rattle. This concludes the Native American Music Podcast.